When you need news and information, turn to the most complete and authoritative news source in the market. Turn to the Columbia Daily Tribune and think in ink.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Columbia Daily Tribune's Behind the Stripes webcast. We're going to do things a little differently this week and possibly for all future weeks and break it up into two parts, shorter to accommodate your short attention spans. And the first will be kind of a review of the previous game, which will run on Wednesdays, and then the second will be more of a look forward to the next game, which will run on Thursdays. So Dave, let's look back at the Illinois game. Impressive performance by Missouri, 37-9 victory. Just initially, what impressed you about Missouri in that game?
Just about everything, really. Offense was clicking. It looked like they had a bunch of veterans out there and had been doing this for years. And on defense, polar opposite of a year ago. Didn't give up any big plays, still got a few turnovers, and just played very poised, very disciplined. Didn't do anything really fancy or exotic. They just stopped Juice Williams in the Illinois offense just about every chance they got. Only scored one touchdown against them. He couldn't even kick the extra point. So for Missouri, I'm not sure much could have gone better for them in the first game of the year, considering how inexperienced they were coming in.
Does that change your expectations for them this season? A drastic change maybe from what you thought going into it?
Well, I feel a lot better now about saying this team can go 8-4 this season, and maybe even more than that. You know, I think we'll find out more about this team in two of their next three games. I don't know if the Furman game is going to teach us a whole lot, but they'll go on the road to Nevada. We'll find out how they deal with some stuff on the road, even though Nevada now doesn't look that much more of a tough opponent after getting beat badly by Notre Dame last week. But maybe we'll see how they handle the attention that they're getting right now. They're ranked number 25 in the latest poll. Suddenly there's a lot more believers in this team. So we'll see how a fairly young team, responds to all that this week when they play Bowling Green.
Yeah, I might even take it a step further. It wouldn't surprise me if they did what they did last year almost at this point. It didn't seem like a whole lot of what happened Saturday was accidental or flukish to me.
Right.
I think Blaine Gabbert, what you saw against Illinois is what he can do. I mean, Illinois is probably as good a defense as they're going to face most of the year. I mean, obviously not against the Texas or somebody like that, but they're okay. Certainly as good as you're going to see the next few weeks. So I don't know. I don't see any great reason why they can't put up similar performances as they did last year.
Especially after watching the Big 12 over the weekend. I think Kansas State and Colorado, two teams that some people thought maybe could challenge Missouri this year. It didn't look very impressive at all. Colorado especially getting beat badly on their home field by Colorado State. So, yeah, I think 9-10 wins could be possible.
All right, Blaine Gabbert kind of was the story of the game. Your thoughts on him and maybe how the offense changed with him?
Well, he didn't throw the ball downfield a lot. But when he did, it was pretty impressive. And even on the one incompletion that he had, he overthrew Jared Perry by a big margin. But those are the kind of throws that if you do those early in games, that one was a little bit late, but if you do those early in games, you can stretch defenses a little bit more, and that opens up a lot of the stuff that they do that's with the running game or even some of the short throws. So there's a lot he can do throwing the ball. Just the velocity he puts on his passes, it can really make up for a lot of things. It can get to the place it's supposed to be before a defender can get there. We saw that on the touchdown pass to West Kemp. I think maybe if it was Chase Daniel or a different quarterback throwing that pass, that safety would have had more time to get over there and maybe make a play on it. He had no chance against Gabbert's pass, and then Kemp kind of just waltzed into the end zone. So a lot of impressive things with his arm. I think we saw him run the ball really effectively too. He kept the ball in that zone read, I think 3 times early in the game, and got some good yards out of it. And even better, that helps you out later in the game because the defenses start respecting him because they have to make a decision if they're going to try to cover him or not on that. And when they don't, he can make big runs like we saw him do. He outran a safety or a cornerback on one of them. And then later in the game, Illinois' defense started to respect him a little bit more. And that opens up things for your running backs. We saw Derek Washington finally break a big run there in the fourth quarter. So I think you have to be impressed with how he managed things out there, his decision-making. He had the one intentional grounding, but as Gary Pinkel later said, he was happy with that because he got rid of the ball. You take a chance with getting a penalty, but that might be better than a sack. So I think all in all, very impressive debut.
And he was good, but I thought the defense too, maybe even more surprising to me, was that they can come out and hold a kind of a veteran offensive team, a team that was missing It really has been, with missing Daniel Dufresne, kind of their two big playmakers other than Juice Williams, but still, holding to 9 points. That was equally impressive. Who, on the defensive side of the ball, maybe did some things you weren't expecting?
Well, I think the good news for Missouri is when I sat down to try to come up with a player of the week for defense, and I know Missouri, their media relations, when they had to come up with a nominee for their Big 12 player of the week nominee, it wasn't really easy because there wasn't one guy that really stood out. There was a lot of guys that made plays. I thought Carl Geddes played well at cornerback. He made two really good plays on the ball. One, that opening drive where he knocked away a pass on the sideline on third and 10, I believe. Another time he let his defender get by him on a big pass, but he came back and knocked the ball out of his hand and set up Missouri for a turnover there. So he played really well. I thought Sean Weatherspoon was Sean Weatherspoon. You know, we didn't notice him a lot, but he was in the middle of almost everything. He made 9 tackles, had a sack, and you know, so much of what he does is just getting everybody else fired up and in all the right places out there. And we got a glimpse of Alden Smith too and what he can do, playing both end and tackle in Missouri's dime package. And he ended up with 3 tackles behind the line of scrimmage and got his first sack. And that sack came when all 3 defensive ends were out there. He goes inside and plays that defensive tackle spot, which, you know, it had some mixed results the other night, but it was the first time those guys played together. So I think once they get playing against more drop-back style quarterbacks, you're going to see that group do a lot more. So it's pretty interesting to see.
I think you made an interesting comment during the game about Geddes on the first drive where he bats the ball down. You're like, you know, last year when he's 15 pounds heavier, he probably doesn't get to that ball.
Oh, not at all.
And I think I noticed him more in that game than I did all of last year in a positive way. And then with Alden Smith, I think we all kind of expected him to be a sack master, but I was impressed with the way he played the run. There was one play in particular where Illinois runs the zone read option play. He kind of holds his ground, honors his commitment, and then Juice Williams keeps the ball. He fights off a blocker, makes an open field tackle. I mean, that's hard to do for a big guy in space like that. And he has those big, long arms that can just shed the blockers. I think he's going to be a great guy against the run, which is maybe something we didn't think about all that much.
Yeah.
We were talking about him as a pass rusher. All right, well, that'll wrap up this portion of the program, and then tune in tomorrow as we delve into the Bowling Green game.